Cool. What else is going on?
Not too much. I mean, that's really been the big one. I got a closing coming up on Friday that I'm going to have some more issues for, as I always do.
That's funny you mentioned that because my closing on those 8 units was supposed to be, I want to say 3 days ago.
I want to say 3 days ago. That doesn't sound good.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be 3 days ago. It sounds so ridiculous because if you were buying a house, you'd never be like, I don't know, we were supposed to close 3 days ago. We didn't close. This is like commercial. So yeah, I think it was supposed to be 3 days ago. And then we were going to move it to the end of the month. And I think now we're actually just moving into the start of December, which I'm kind of bummed about because I do want to get in there and get started and, start taking it over and all the logistics.
What's
but
the delay?
just the financing. Bank's like, yeah, we'll get around to it. I'm like, okay.
Oh my God.
The sellers is fine with it because they know the financing is approved. It's just the logistics. And there's a lot of moving parts because I refinanced those 2 other buildings like I highlighted on another show. I'm taking some of that money to buy this property. And yeah, they just don't really care about your timeline. They're just like, I told them
This is what they can meet and they know that you need them. There's no reason really that they got to crank it. I mean, a bunch of people work from home and there's all these weird transitions and it's just appraisers are tied up more. Everyone's tied up more. It's crazy. And there's just, on the commercial side, I feel like there's more transactions. Residentially, we're down. But commercially, I think we're definitely up.
And there's just a lot of refinances going on because everyone's up in value. So they're looking to
get some
take that equity out, get some liquidity, do something else. And so the appraisals are backed up. And, regardless if it's a purchase or a refi, it's the same system that it's going through. You're in the same queue regardless. So yeah, maybe the actual new money purchases are down, but the actual volume of overall transactions, including refinances, is up quite a bit. So I'll hopefully have some news on that. And I think that'd be kind of a cool thing to walk people through. And you've got one coming up as well. When's that close?
Yeah, I got the 19-unit closing December 6th, I believe that is. Same thing, though. We're getting down to the wire. All the financing's done, approved, all the documents are signed. But it's the same deal. I'm using a refinance to make the down payment. It's all with the same bank. But I am already like, we're going to need an extra week.
That December 6th creeping up, man.
That's
creeping up.
Like in commercial land, it's like 2 weeks away. You're like, oh, if it's not pretty much money in your hand already, you're pretty much going to have to delay. Like it's like, that's how it feels effectively. Like there's no last minute.
Yeah. And it was funny too because the other side was like, oh yeah, so just make sure you change your power takeover date and your water takeover date and your insurance. I'm like, oh yeah, and set those up to begin with because I knew it was going to close this date. I'm like, that's just a good reminder for me to set it up for when it does.
I'm bad for that too. I closed it on the other one and I was like, I didn't set up the landlord account. So the hallways were dark for 3 days.
Oh man, that's funny.
My bad. But yeah, so I have that one coming up. That'll be the same thing. It'll be good to get some people through. I'm actually also excited to show them my other ones that I closed there, whatever that was, 3 weeks ago, the 18 units. We got some empty units there. I think we had up to 5 empty units already, which is sweet. And I just want to kind of show what they look like and what they end up being because we actually have on that same
before and after.
A little before and after because on that same street we have some other buildings underway that are close to being finished. You can get like almost a direct perspective and comparison.
Oh, are these still the 3 that there was the environmental? Those ones, right?
Yes, and got the enviro back because we actually went and dug up the ground.
Yeah, all
passed.
Clear. Yeah,
there was hydrocarbons in the soil, but under the residential limits.
Nothing wrong with a little bit of hydrocarbon in your life.
Exactly. Well, it just keeps the dirt moving nice and smooth. You don't want it sticking together, right?
It keeps the dirt moisturized.
But so I want to get people to see those because when we were at the REIC thing yesterday, they were at an REIC lunch to discuss tenancy. Chandler yelled about tenancy, and they brought up the fact that there was people doing renovations that weren't actually doing proper renovation to the units.
Yeah, but they could not come up with any stats about it. 4 people, 1 from the Department of Housing, 1 from the Tenancy Board, 1 from Nova Scotia Legal Aid, 1 from IPONS. It's like, yeah, how many? Like, we don't know. Well, how many were like done correctly or not correctly?
Nothing.
We don't know.
Nothing.
So there is this whole idea that this is going on at if you believe the media, that it's going on at rampant rates.
99% of units.
Yeah, and they can't point to a single case, right? Or at least they cannot track them. And I understand it's like, well, it's being done and it's not being reported because it's not being done correctly and so on and so forth. However, you would think for how much it's in the news, someone would have done some sort of count on how often this is happening, and none of them have any idea. Because we talked about, some people were upset with ones that happened, but for the most part, they were done above board. Like the process that was in place was followed. Now they're changing the process to make it a bit more rigorous to keep better tracking, but the previous ones were done, generally speaking, they were done by the book. People may not like the result, but they were at least done by the rules in a lot of cases, yourself included.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I don't know how they did them not by the book. They're like, people are rent evicting people without, like, not by the book. And I'm like, but you can't evict. The person just doesn't leave. And then what do? You can't.
Yeah. Like the only way to get someone out is they agree to it in some idea. And I understand people like, well, they involuntarily agree because they're bought out or they don't want to, but they reach some sort of agreement or they went through the process. So unless there's this thing that people are physically having their doors locked, but again,
everyone's been pumped when I've handed them the $2,000. I'll tell you that for free.
Yeah, but you wouldn't believe that based on the media coverage. And I mean, there have certainly been some dubious ones. Like there was a building where there was down to one person who wouldn't leave, but the city issued a demolish permit of the building. Like the city gave the owner a permit that says you can demolish it. Yeah. So this guy was told he had to leave because the building was being demolished, and those landlords were villainized. Oh, you got more insight on it?
Well, okay. But here's the thing. The city issued the demolition permit because they had already issued an eviction notice for the entire building. So as per the city's directive, the building was supposed to be empty.
Yeah.
And then like you're saying, when they did start tearing it down and there was a mistake made, because, well, not really a mistake, the guy just didn't leave.
He refused to leave. He tied himself to the tree.
He literally tied himself to the tree and refused to leave. Then he was villainized for it. He was made out to be this big bad...
the landlord.
Yeah, the landlord was made out to be the big bad boy, even though he followed all the procedures. And the city thought that he had to. They were like, yeah, based on our paperwork, you've done what you need to, and it's your building now.
Yeah.
So... it was more frustrating than anything. And then we only had about 2 minutes to talk to them and then get out of there. So
no more questions.
Yeah,
no more questions. Shut it down.
Yeah. Well. So no, that wasn't good. But yeah, so I want to show some people just like what we're doing there, so you can get an idea of like, you know what, this is kind of worth it. Also, I'm going to send you a picture right now, Tanner, to flash up of what my buildings used to look like.
I think I saw some of them. Well, there's one that was like literally burned out, I think.
Yeah. Oh, one of mine. Yeah, I got one of mine literally burnt out.
That's why there's this guy who like trolls us. I hope he listens to this episode because I made a point of telling him to actually listen to the episodes because he just trolls us without any context.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, not like those landlords on Master Keys podcast who just raised the rent for painting a door. And you've got a building that was literally burned to the ground. Like it was boarded up.
Yeah. Like multiple, literally boarded up, burnt
up, and it's like
got them vacant too. Like they were just completely inhabitable. The plumbing, you could literally, the plumbers were standing in front of me and they grabbed one of the pipes and it just fell out of like its holdings because it all had frozen and heated so much it just popped.
But then he's posted that we just changed the doors and jacked the rent.
Yeah, no,
like it's.
I thought about that. Yeah. The problem is there's no interiors in the units. So I don't know if I can rent them.
Yeah, like there was literally a burnt out shell. I'm surprised that building was even salvaged. But that'd be really cool to see some before and afters of what you're doing now, and I'll do the same thing in my next one.
When I was broke, I had rich habits.